Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. It's good to be here with you on the Terry of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. Big news at our house and at many houses across British Columbia. Tomorrow is the last day of school in Vancouver and in many parts of the province. So for those kids and parents, I hope you have a wonderful summer, and thank you to all of the teachers and the staff at the schools who are looking after and supporting our kids all year long. I hope you have a wonderful and productive summer. To parents, obviously, with elbows up, that means that Canadian programming should not be included in screen time for kids. And yes, that includes Paw Patrol as well. Thank you. I'm here all day. Next week, we're going to be celebrating Canada Day here in British Columbia and right across the country. This is a Canada Day like no other. Although the reasons for the renewal of strong patriotism that all of us are feeling are far from ideal, specifically the antics of President Trump, the feeling that Canadians have, that I have, that all of us have about this amazing country that we live in and how fortunate we are to live here, and that we celebrate our country as the best in the world, not because we're perfect, but we continually strive to do better and make progress. For my family, we'll be getting together to celebrate Canada Day as a family, and I hope everybody has a wonderful celebration of our country at this particularly consequential time. On that note, the role that we have as British Columbians to play in making this country strong and ensuring that we're able to stand on our own 2 feet, hopefully in a productive relationship with the United States ultimately. But right now, making sure that we're diversifying our market partners and strengthening our economy and reducing our dependence on the United States. British Columbia has a strong and important role to play here. And it's one that I'm certainly reflecting on with Canada Day coming up so quickly. But particularly in the next few days, British Columbia will be marking the first cargo of LNG Canada shipping from the west coast of the west coast of British Columbia, important distinction, to international markets around the world. This is a very significant project for our province. This is the largest private sector investment in our province's history. It was delivered under the NDP government. It will result in a 0.4% increase in the nation's GDP, just this project alone. It will bring billions of dollars in benefits to British Columbia and to the nation. It will be a benefit to both British Columbia and Alberta and all Canadians. And it is an example of what we are focused on as a government delivering for British Columbians. Clean, reliable energy to power growth. Fast-tracking projects to get them done, and using those the revenues from those projects to strengthen the services that families depend on. We have an astonishing and important list of major economic projects in this province that are moving ahead. Highland Valley Copper just received its permits from the province, and Teck will be moving to a final investment decision on that multi-billion-dollar project, copper mine, delivering a critically needed metal to Canada and the world. I was at the Artemis Gold opening, a gold mine that's delivering major benefits to the local community in the form of employment and also to local First Nations. LNG Canada itself is, we are working with them on phase 2 of their pipeline project. We have 10 clean energy, electricity projects moving ahead across the province, representing billions of dollars of investment in communities in every corner of the province, many of which have majority First Nations ownership. In the Northwest, with the Tahltan, the Teck River Tlingit, and the Casca River First Nations, we have a partnership that promises to deliver the potential of tens of billions of dollars in mining activity while protecting the land for generations to come. This is what we're talking about: stability, partnership, not chaos and division. working together to deliver economic benefits and prosperity for everybody. My final note, we are in wildfire season here in British Columbia. Many families will be traveling, camping, enjoying the backcountry, visiting parks. Please pay attention to fire bans in your areas. There are many parts of the province that are very dry. Be extremely cautious when you're out and about to avoid human-caused fires. For those of you who are in areas where you're facing particular fire risk, take the opportunity to visit our website about fire prevention and prepare your house. Make sure that you don't have plants that would increase your risk, that you remove timber and debris from near your house to make sure that you're minimizing risk, but also have a grab-and-go bag in case you do face an evacuation call and you need to move quickly. These are obviously challenging issues for many British Columbians and promise to be over the summer, but we can minimize the impact on ourselves and our neighbors by preparing in advance. So thank you very much. I hope everybody has a safe summer, and I look forward to the questions that you may have.
Thank you, Premier, and thank you everyone for joining us here today at the Vancouver Cabinet Office. We have media here in person and on the phone lines. For media on the phones, please remember to press *1 to enter the queue and to remember to unmute yourself when you're called upon. And of course, all reporters will have one question and one follow-up. We're going to start here with Richard Zussman from Global News.
When you mentioned last day of school, I was relieved I only have one more school lunch to pack tomorrow, and then I realized I have to pack camp lunches. You also mentioned projects. Today, Premier Danielle Smith in Alberta said she believes she's 5 weeks away from finding a proponent to build a pipeline from Alberta to BC's coast. If she's able to find a proponent and that proponent pays for the pipeline in its entirety, would you support that bitumen pipeline going through British Columbia to a port in Prince Rupert?
Well, Richard, I guess some of my frustration about this issue is that there is no proponent. There is actually no project here. I went through a list that reflects probably in excess of $50 billion of investment in Canada and in our country, where there are proponents, where they are well through or on the verge of being complete through environmental assessment processes, where support from the federal government will benefit not just British Columbia, but also Alberta and the Yukon. And I think that's where our attention should be, on the shovel-ready projects that are ready to go.
Follow-up, Richard?
On Richmond Mayor Malcolm Brody, yesterday our cameras confronted him. He grabbed the camera, he pulled it down. I know you've had a lot of cameras put in your face, or more accurately, probably your midsection, but have you ever had the desire to push a camera, or have you ever pushed a camera away? And do you have any concerns around some of the spending behavior we have seen in municipalities, especially around Richmond, with ongoing concerns of gift cards and junkets and trips using taxpayer money?
So I'm not familiar with these specific allegations against Mayor Brody. What I can say is that we have expectations around conflict of interest, around gifts, around the conduct of local governments generally. And the Minister of Municipal Affairs is engaged with local governments around their call for things like code of conduct rules and other guidelines for local government to ensure that the public can have confidence. I'll say for my part, it is challenging. I'll speak as frankly as I can. It's challenging to be a journalist these days. And I think that in many cases it's a thankless job. And I'm certainly not one to line up to thank you, with all due respect, but it is an essential job, and it is a hard job, and I think it's important for all British Columbians, independent of this incident. I'm not familiar with it, to ensure that we respect the role that the media plays, to hold governments to account, even if as a member of a government it's not always particularly comfortable.
Thank you, Premier. Next, we'll go to Joe Sadowski from City News.
Well, thank you for that, Premier. Appreciate that. Last week, you wrote a letter to the Prime Minister to deem the Lawrence Bishnoi gang a terrorist organization. So what specific steps is the BC government taking to designate the Lawrence Bishnoi gang as a terrorist organization, including details on the ongoing conversations with the federal minister of public safety and the RCMP and other relevant agencies to ensure this process is expedited and effective in addressing the associated security threats?
Yeah, thanks. We've reached out to Ontario and Alberta to encourage them to join our call. These are two provinces that have been similarly affected by this extortion conduct. And we believe that the more provinces that are supportive, the faster the federal government will move on this. The Minister for Public Safety has also been reaching out to his counterpart federally, and we hope they're able to move very quickly to support police by declaring this organization and any other allegedly involved organizations in this designation, so that police have the tools that they need to end this conduct as quickly as possible.
Follow-up, Joe?
Yeah, this question's on behalf of a colleague. What's your reaction to the uptick in measles cases we're seeing in BC, and what, if anything, is the province doing to prevent BC from following in the footsteps of Ontario and Alberta, which have seen more than 3,000 cases combined?
Well, you know, this is the sadly predictable outcome of some recklessness, frankly, on the parts of some politicians in terms of questioning vaccine safety and ensuring that people are supported in accessing vaccines. I will encourage all British Columbians to ensure that they are vaccinated. Measles is no joke. It kills kids. It's a preventable disease. And we don't want that to be the story of the summer for our province. It's a two-shot process, and if you're not sure for yourself whether you've been fully vaccinated, there are tools online for you to check. In addition, you can check in with public health in your region, and or with a pharmacist or with a family physician to ensure that you are fully vaccinated.
Next, we'll head to Isabella Zavarisi from CTV.
I just have a question on behalf of a colleague as well. It's about measles. So it's her understanding that the booster they recommend for some adults isn't covered by MSP unless you can prove you haven't had it. Will the province waive that in light of the outbreak?
Those decisions will be made in consultation with public health. We understand from public health that the main concern right now is to ensure that people who have not been vaccinated have received a full vaccination course so that they're immune from measles.
Thanks, Isabella. Next, we'll head to the phone lines with Katie DeRosa from CBC. Katie, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, Premier?
Yeah, I got you, Katie.
Oh, sorry about that. You didn't answer Richard's question about whether you support a privately funded or entirely privately funded pipeline. Can you clarify your position on that?
Yeah, I did. I won't speculate. There is no project. There is no proponent. And as a premier of a province with literally almost $50 billion of projects with proponents that are ready to go, that are in approvals processes, that will benefit Alberta, the Yukon, and all Canadians, I strongly encourage the federal government to pay attention to those projects and help us deliver those projects that are ready to go.
Thank you, Katie. Next, we'll head to Vaughn Palmer from the Vancouver Sun.
Cut off funding for the drug for this 9-year-old girl in Langford who has this rare disease. The medication is the only one available. Her caregivers and families say it's making a difference. The disease is regarded as fatal. Is there no basis for a compassionate restoration of funding for that drug to make her lot in life a little easier?
Thanks, Vaughn. So I will say that as a general principle, our government is very supportive of the idea that politicians stay out of care decisions for patients in British Columbia. Those decisions should be made by experts, by doctors, by people who are expert in these diseases, who are expert in the condition of the patient in front of them and provide their best recommendation about the course ahead. I have seen nothing positive come from politicians get involved in healthcare decisions for individuals in other jurisdictions, particularly where it seems to be increasingly popular. These are really hard and difficult and profound decisions that are made by medical physicians every day, whether or not a particular course of treatment is providing benefit or not. I support them in those really difficult decisions. At the same time, it's important to acknowledge how profoundly awful this particular case is. What these parents are going through with a terminally ill child, I would wish on anybody, and I certainly pray that no other British Columbians have to face the kind of trials this family is going through. There is no happy solution here. And the best that we can do as government, in my opinion, is to allow the experts in this area, the physicians, the experts in these illnesses, to make the decisions around care that they need to make.
Do you have a follow-up, Vaughn?
Yeah, could you not make a case that the circumstances here are unique? This is the only case in Canada. No one else has been turned down for this drug. The family doctor says it's helping. Is there no grounds for an exemption on the grounds this is a unique circumstance?
Well, I think, when you're talking about a terminally ill child, every case is unique. The decision to not do another round of chemotherapy or discontinue a particular medication or take a child off life support. These are profound and awful decisions that have to be made by experts in the area and physicians and not by politicians. In my opinion, that is where these decisions should be made, and that's what I support. It doesn't make it any easier for that family, and I recognize that. But I also recognize that the other course is, if I can say, it's actually worse.
Thank you, Premier. Next, we'll go to Mark Page from the Black Press.
Hi, Premier. Thanks for taking my question. This week, the Charter Challenge of the Mental Health Act is wrapping up arguments in Vancouver. And, talking to the folks involved, it sounds like this is something that, even if it is resolved at this level, it could go on with appeals for years. And, meanwhile, you've got a review of the Mental Health Act underway. And, one of the sticking points is this challenge here and what happens with this. Wouldn't it make more sense maybe to, say, cut a deal here and, say you're going to review or change the entire act and then be able to move forward rather than, continually have this sticking point, and this is obviously one of those issues that impacts all of the talk around politics here and things like that. So, why keep this thing going, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, well, the short answer is I believe, and many British Columbians believe very strongly in involuntary care because it works. There are people who are so mentally ill that they are unable to make informed decisions for themselves about their care and treatment. I strongly encourage members of the media who are interested in this question to spend time with the parents of adult schizophrenics, of adults who are struggling with serious mental health issues, and to talk with them about the challenge that they face in supporting loved ones. I met a woman at Helijet who pulled me aside and said, I'm so glad that you are fighting for these involuntary care provisions because I benefited from this. A woman who was wearing a suit, who was ready to go to work on the Helijet. She's like, listen, I was not able to make decisions around my own care. My family was there for me, and they were able to advocate for me to be held against my will and treated against my will. And as a result, I'm well today. I'm able to do my job, and I'm so grateful that that happened. We had many witnesses like that in this case that went forward. The court will make a decision about these provisions, but I think it's very important for the province to be advocating for this because it can change lives for the better. I don't disagree that done improperly, involuntary care can be quite problematic. But done properly, the work that we're doing with Dr. Vigo to intervene for people who can't care for themselves, to open up additional involuntary care beds across the province, this is crucial because if you just see people in the state they're in on the streets, I can see that they are unable to care for themselves. They need support. And as British Columbians, I don't believe that we should choose to let them die in the street.
Do you have a follow-up for the Premier, Mark?
Yes. On a different topic, you mentioned this copper mine that was just approved, and that approval process wasn't part of Bill 15. When are we going to start to see the powers from Bill 15 used by the provincial government? Obviously this bill was passed at the end of the session, so it could be used this summer. So what are some of the projects that this bill is going to be used for this summer?
Well, the first step on Bill 15, which is the bill to speed up everything from schools and hospitals to major private sector projects in the province, is to draft the regulations for that new law. That'll be work that's done over the summer. Indigenous engagement will be a significant part of that, engagement with industry and with local governments and others to make sure that we're doing our best to address concerns while ensuring we're preserving the core intent here, which is to get things done faster. And I'm very hopeful that we'll be able to complete that work over the summer, have the regulations in place so that we're able to go.
Thanks, Mark. Next, we'll head to Chuck Chang from the Canadian Press.
Thank you, Premier. I was wondering, your opponent across the aisle, Mr. Rustad, is facing a leadership review, and some speculate that he is there's some turmoil going on with the opposition. I was wondering if you can offer any comments on what you're seeing from your side of the aisle regarding kind of the situation facing your opponents in legislature. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. Well, I mean, the bottom line is whoever's leading the Conservative Party, this is a party that has spoken out against the province's actions to respond to Donald Trump's attacks on our economy, that has brought in far-right YouTubers into our legislature and anti-choice organizations into the legislature. This is a group of people that includes climate deniers, residential schools deniers. The far-right politics of this group are extreme, and no matter who is leading them, they're going to face significant challenges. I am honored and proud to be leading a group of MLAs in the legislature that's committed to the priorities of British Columbians, and that's where we'll stay focused. The Conservatives will continue to focus on what appears to be important to them, which is mostly the Conservatives.
Do you have a follow-up, Chuck?
Yes, thank you. Premier, can you comment on this apparent splintering of some of that opposition? We've seen renegade members, MLAs, split off, two of which form their own party, and some of them being involved in some of these allegations now being made from people within the Conservative Party about these various infighting. Are you able to offer comment on your side of the aisle, just seeing kind of the situation of the splintering of the right movement that you're opposing in legislature? Thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the contrast is pretty stark for British Columbians. If they want stability, if they want government that's committed to their priorities and delivering for them, whether it's growing the economy or strong public services or safe communities, if they want a group of politicians that are not continually attacking each other and making criminal allegations against each other, then obviously it's the BC NDP that they should be looking to for that. The contrast is quite stark, and we're going to stay focused on people moving forward. The Conservatives will do what they're doing right now.
Thanks, Chuck. For our final question, we're going to head to Keith Norbury from BC Today.
Hi, thank you very much, Mr. Premier, for taking my question. The Information and Privacy Commissioner released a report today, and in that report, he noted that out of 210 breaches under PIPA, that's the Personal Information Protection Act, 105 were cyber attacks. So what can the government do, or what should the government do to address that? It seems like it's a big issue.
Yes, without question, our government and crown corporations are not exempt from what we're seeing globally, which is a rise in these online attacks, and often enabled by rogue international states. these state-level attacks on infrastructure, and certainly BC is not unique here. We've seen it at the federal level. We've seen it in the United States. We've seen it in the EU, in the UK. These state-level attacks can have a profound and paralyzing impact on the delivery of services. So for our part in British Columbia, we've been really focused on making sure that as much as possible our systems are resilient, that we're putting in place the provisions to ensure that we're able to continue to provide services even in the face of a cyber attack. Government is large. It involves school boards and health authorities and hospital systems and crown corporations. There are many different government systems. So while we have done a lot of work internally in core government, we've also expanded that work to support the IT systems of groups that are are further away from core government, knowing that their vulnerability is a vulnerability for everybody. This is ongoing work. We had an identified significant cyber attack provincially that has resulted in significant work internally that, fortunately, to the best of our knowledge, did not result in any significant breaches of information for the public. But we can't rest on this, and it is a significant expense to be able to address this. And it's my hope that the federal government, along with other countries internationally, can do work to try to minimize these kinds of impacts, as we see this as an increasing expense and quite a consequential set of attacks for the delivery of services that people really depend on.
Do you have a follow-up for the Premier, Keith?
Yes, it's on an unrelated matter. Negotiations are underway with public sector unions. The BCGEU indicated last week that the government's offered around 3.5% over 2 years. Where's the government going to get the money? How much and how much might you get from all this LNG bounty that's coming in?
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I think your question, as I understand it, is about provincial finances, and obviously our deficit needs to be addressed. We have seen an environment where, as a result of the attacks from the U.S., we see businesses less likely to invest. We see people putting off major purchases like real estate. And we see impacts to resource prices as the global economy slows. At the same time, the cost of things has got more expensive due to global inflation. So family budgets are seeing that. We're also seeing that in provincial government budgets. Right now, we are in a review process. There are a couple of phases to it. And we are working to identify costs that we can reduce, particularly around administration of government, while preserving frontline services for British Columbians. We also believe that there are technological advances that are available to us to be able to deliver even higher quality services to British Columbians while reducing some of our expenses. That work is also underway. So we have to reduce our expenses, increase our revenues. I talked about $50 billion in projects that we're advancing that I hope to have federal government support for. And ultimately, we will be bargaining at the table with the public service, recognizing that they're facing significantly increased costs as well, but also knowing that we have obligations to the public around the sustainability of the province's finances.
And that concludes today's media availability. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thanks very much.